wellness practitioners and therapists, providing trauma-informed and culturally competent care. Healing Springs Wellness Center offers in-person and online services that include mental health counseling, nutrition, Reiki, and wellness workshops. Shania's 15 years of clinical experience as a licensed therapist, as well as her personal experience of overcoming trauma, fuels her passion for empowering women to achieve the life of their dreams by resolving limiting beliefs and moving past the fear that holds them back from manifesting their biggest desires. She also provides practical steps to achieve emotional wellness, improve mindset, and cultivate meaningful personal and professional relationships. Through the use of manifesting techniques and the law of attraction, Shania not only manifested the life of her dreams, she manifested a successful, thriving business. She is on a mission to help others to do the same by unapologetically dreaming big in life and business. Come on. Take me with you.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, and thank you for having me back as a speaker again. I swear, women, my cheerleaders, my supporters, I remember wanting to speak, and I was like, okay, let's do it. And they were the first people allowed me to speak, and I've been doing it ever since. And I really love speaking because it helps to create that impact outside of the therapy. So I'm so honored to be in front of visionaries, leaders, ambitious women today. And my talk is permission to dream. Not permission to dream big, that's the other one. Permission to choose yourself, right? Emotional abundance and self-love. I am like the cheerleader for abundance, right? And when we think about abundance, we automatically think about money, right? Money. But there are dimensions of abundance. And the one that really stands out to me is emotional abundance. What is the reason to be successful if you are burnt out, if there's no space for joy, and you don't feel fulfilled? A lot of us in this room, we are caregivers at heart, right? Yes. A lot of us in this room hold a lot of titles, and we're helping everyone. And when I'm in session, whether coaching or therapy, I ask women, who are you beyond the titles? What brings you joy? And surprisingly, no matter how successful they are, there's a huge pause, a huge silence, because a lot of us don't really know, right? Because we're serving, and society has conditioned us to believe that we need to be martyrs, right? Society has allowed us to wear the badge of being strong, holding it together, but still showing up for work and family and all those things. But what about me? Have you ever been on the phone with a friend, someone who's always calling you to complain, right? And then you'd be like, okay, I'm having a problem too. Okay, girl, I gotta go. What about me, right? Are there leaders in this room, right? You own your business, you run a team. Can you go to your team and be like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling so burnt out. I'm having financial issues or whatever. They don't want to hear that. So who do you lean on, right? And so tonight is about choosing ourselves unapologetically. It is about realizing what makes me happy, taking a closer look on that. Because let me ask you, has any, maybe some of you have, so I don't want to generalize, but were we taught what self-care looked like? Were we taught to put ourselves first and prioritize? What are some of the messages you have been taught from like thinking about early life to even now? What are some of the messages about, you know, self-care or really prioritizing yourself?
You're lazy.
You're lazy, right?
You're worthless. Time to your productivity.
Yes, right? When you think about even perfectionism, right, you're rewarded for being perfect and showing up and getting the job done, but when you fall short or when you are sick or when you are burned out, what's wrong with you? Right? Where is that compassion? So we're not taught that, and so when we say choose yourself, a lot of people are like, what are you talking about? I don't have that skill to choose myself, right? So we start to take a really deeper look. On a personal account, you know, in this life, like I lost my mom, and when I lost my mom, I had family members come up to me and they were like, be strong. They looked at my siblings, they looked at me, be strong to me as the first, you know, the firstborn. And then they would come to me and be like, maybe you should get your sister some therapy. And I'm like, what about me? And I said, if you tell me be strong one more time, I'm gonna punch you. I don't want to be strong. I want to be weak and I want to be authentic and I just want to cry and I want someone to hold me. But when you are the ambitious one, when you are the one that has the mask on, there's no space for that, right? So we have to start to give ourselves permission first, because no one else will. And be around other women and people that are gonna say, hey, let me cheer, are you okay? Let me just check in, I haven't seen you, right? So start to cultivate those relationships. So of course I'm gonna have you do some work today. And literally I could talk forever, so Mickey, please, like, you know.
Yeah, I got you. I remembered the timer this time.
Okay, so the first worksheet that we have here, maybe if you want a pen, there's some on the table, but if you just wanna look at it and fill it out later, we could do that. But again, we talk about emotional abundance. I frame this as your emotional bank account, right? And thinking about your emotional bank account, your deposits, right? The things that nourish you, fill you up, and then the withdrawals, right? So thinking about, you know, just take a moment to think about the deposits. And I have some examples like rest, joy, connection, and you can add your own. And then there's the withdrawals, overgiving, people pleasing. So think about, is my bank account overflowing or am I in the negative, right? She's like,
Yeah, I'm in the negative.
Very clear right now.
okay. Who else feels like they're in a negative or like in between?
Right?
So you think about it, like, I'm saying you want, and I've seen this with my talks, I'm like, you dream big, do all this stuff. And they're like, I'm in the negative. I don't have the capacity to hold, right? So, but most of us function in that withdrawal state. And then we're trying to give. What are we giving? Right? Nothing, or like we're giving IOU, right?
Or like trying your best, right?
Yes. So, you know, we might have some deposits, but again, when you have that negative, you're kind of like trying to clear, right? So, what are some things that people would say are deposits? What are some of your deposits?
Time with friends.
Okay.
E-Women Network.
Time alone.
Yeah.
I take a mom days. I'm like, look, I'm going to the hotel, don't bother me. See you later. Now my son will come down and he's like, are you having some peace, mommy? I'm like, yeah, go up to your father. I need peace, right? So think about that. So I would say for you to make a list of the deposits and even just check in with yourself. Where am I? Where's my emotional bank account? And how can I start to fill myself up? Because we want to start to give from our overflow, right? That is abundance. You have a question?
Yeah, I do. So I'm so used to always be everyone in my family, the elders, the youngers, my kids, my sister, my brother, everybody always calls me. I'm the youngest one in the family. They always call me. And I usually do know what to do, or I'm able to help them. I wouldn't know how would I know what I need? Because all I really know how to do is how to take care of somebody else.
Yes. And a lot of women,
So how do you know what you need?
that is where the exploration comes in. That is even where you start to explore and figure out, like, what are the things that make me happy? Because you probably have some stuff that have made you happy, and the other thing is boundaries. Not always picking up the phone, right? Because as caregivers, we like to fix, save, make better. And it makes us feel good, but it doesn't at the same time, right? So can they start to fix their own problems, right? Even my clients, when they start to come and want the urge to, I'm like, your nervous system is dysregulated, pause, take a deep breath, and allow them to figure it out. But you get into the, like, I want to. You get dysregulated, I gotta help them.
Yeah.
But you don't, because you wanna teach them how to help themselves. And but in the stillness of you not helping, that is where the awakening happens, because you're like, who am I? What brings me joy? And a lot of women are in the stage of like, screw you, I need joy, I need fulfillment, right? So if we look on the last page, I'm trying my best to squeeze this in.
She goes 10 minutes still.
I got 10 minutes, okay, I'm working. So we're gonna go on the last page, right?
Page 2.
So page 2, we're gonna like see if we have time. If not, that's gonna be your take-home worksheet. Okay, so the dimensions of abundance, right? Again, looking at the areas of your life where there is abundance, right? So the emotional abundance, abundance in your relationships, your purpose, career, self-care, joy, and spiritual connections. There's probably a few more, right? So take a moment to just rate those areas of your life where you feel one needs a lot more attention, or 5, you feel fully fulfilled, right? You feel like you're thriving in that area. Because we want to give ourselves credit, right?
Figure it out.
I need an adult, you're adult. Like,
So we don't think about it. We don't think about, and think about it from like, not where you should be, but like where you are right now. Like, be compassionate, don't judge yourself. It feels like such a full circle moment.
So when I asked Shaniel to speak, that was the one thing she said is, oh, it's coming full circle, this is where I started.
Okay,
Very emotional night.
I'm gonna give y'all 1 more minute, because you cut in my time.
throw that Jeopardy theme out.
All right, so I could take a couple volunteers to share like where they feel like they're really thriving in, and it doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be a 5, and then maybe an area or 2 that they want to work on.
I'll share.
Okay,
So I think that I don't like to say everything's a 5, because
Yeah.
there's always room for improvement, everything's an opportunity. But I think I'm like a 4.8, 4.5. We're gonna give it some Olympic score here, right? 4.8 for the judges.
Right.
Spiritual connection and emotional well-being, I've been doing a lot of self-work, so I think that's like high up there on the scale. But I think there could be more in the like relationships. I'm looking for some more quality friendship, quality time with some family, quality time with myself. Those relationships need some work.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else?
So I'm actually a strong 5 in all categories, but because I'm so busy, I don't take enough self-care and rest.
Aww.
So I need that, but I just had a little vacay down
Yeah.
in Florida,
Okay.
which was great.
That was work, that's not bad.
Yeah, that was
Well,
worth
she spent extra days down there,
Nice.
don't you?
Yeah, I know.
Don't play like that.
Before that,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you have another volunteer?
Yeah, I would say for me, relationships, purpose, career purpose, very strong, emotional well-being strong, spiritual connection strong. Self-care, rest, and joy and playfulness needs a lot of work.
Okay, all right. Sounds like that's something that we need to like really hone in. So I love this assessment because you give yourself credit for the areas, right, that you're doing well, and then what is like one intentional step that you can take to move you towards being fulfilled in the other areas. And know that we're not asking for you to overhaul your life. We're just asking you to take small steps, you know, daily, weekly, right, to feel that. And I think when we're ambitious and we're responsible, we do leave out joy and rest. And I see a couple of my Italy sisters in here. Italy agrees. Yes. And let me tell you, we played, we ate, and we've had joy, and it feels so good. And I don't know if any of you know about inner child, but that inner child within you, because I bet a lot of you had to grow up really fast and was responsible at a very young age, and so that part sometimes gets muted. And I know my inner child, when I get cranky and it's like, okay girl, you gotta go play. You gotta do something, you gotta go to the spa, you gotta use your creativity, because when you don't have space for joy or rest, creativity is not there, right? Like you get so burned out, you stop dreaming. And when we don't give ourselves space for joy and rest, you're saying you want more of this life or this money, but you don't have capacity because your nervous system is just like, right? Because like I think part of this is like, we don't need nothing else responsibility wise, but in our mind we're just like, yes, I want more, but you have to make space for that, right? And so it's important to make sure, like again, it doesn't need to be a 5, but in those areas, and most of us, we do the self-care and joy is usually the place that we're lacking, right? So the last worksheet, I'm gonna give you some homework.
That's not what I signed up for.
You guys, I'm doing a retreat on this, so I'm doing a retreat on this so we can really integrate. But yes, so what I would say is like, what is fulfillment, right? What allows you to be? Sorry, the middle page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. When I was trickling them, I
What page are we on?
messed them up. I got like on this. So, what is fulfillment, right? So, fulfillment is a feeling of being deeply satisfied with who you are, right? So, not anyone else, but you, how you live, and how you show up in the world, right? And this is beyond achievements, titles, or external success, right? Because we want to feel as good on the inside as how we are portrayed on the outside, right? So take time to really understand what makes me happy, right? Like pouring into other people, that's great, but that doesn't always make us happy, right? And when you have fulfillment, it helps you to feel more aligned, right? It deepens your capacity to support others because you are fulfilled, right? And that is the best way to give, right? From the overflow. And that is what abundance is, right? So really take the time to explore. You may not have the answers today. Borrow something from someone else, right? I remember we did a mini retreat and I said, what would your most abundant self do if you had a day? Someone was like, I would have a luxury car, I would have breakfast in bed, I was like, oh, I'm gonna borrow some of that. Yeah, I want that on my list. Yes, right? So talk to your friends and people that are your cheerleaders and start to think about it. Like, what makes you happy? What brings you joy? I told my friends the other day, let's do things that we haven't done before. I'm not creative, but I did pottery. And I was like, that is a way, one, to throw perfection out the window, but two, it was a way to just like have that childlike expression, right? So start to put those things into your life, and you're gonna be so surprised on how you start to show up for yourself and for others and for your business and other areas of your life, right? So if you would like to learn more I wrote a book called Unapologetic Success, How to Dream Beyond Your Limits and Unlock Fulfillment in Your Life. So, stop by my table so we could talk more, but I love helping women to create the life of their dreams and really to get unstuck in what is keeping them from moving beyond, right? So, you have a question?
I do.
Yes.
I do have a question. So, as I'm listening to other people talking about this chart that we filled out,
Yeah.
if I had done this 3 weeks ago, I would have said the same thing, 4s and 5s, pretty much across the board. And then life happens, and elderly parents, and just the whole, so literally in the space of 2 weeks, I've gone from 4 and 5s to 2s and 3s. I can't even see my way into a world where I can give myself permission at all. Like just, you know, between calls and everything else, and things have just changed. So I guess my question is, where does that permission come from? And where does that time come from? Because even when you think you have it all together, one fell swoop, and I know we all know what that, you know, that one thing could happen that just disrupts everything, and, you know, self-care, rest, joy, playfulness has gone out the window. So where do you get that permission and ability to go back to self-fulfillment?
Yes, I love that question, right? Because what we usually do when stuff is happening to us, we usually throw all the things that make us feel good out the window, right? And what I tell my clients is like, you're building the self-awareness. So the fact that you can look at that and say, things have shifted, right? Because sometimes we don't even acknowledge that we're in a season of difficulty. And sometimes you need that accountability to be like, hey girl, you still got that toolbox. And maybe you can't do 5 of those things, but you can do 1 of those things to help to at least fill your cup. Because we life ebbs and flows. And the one thing that we can be sure is if we can continue to nourish ourselves, even if it's a small capacity, you're gonna sustain versus to burn out, right? But you have to be aware of like, how am I feeling right now, right? So again, it's not perfect, but there's still one area where you can take an intentional step to feel better than what you did. And even with my clients, sometimes I say, we do like a calm, peaceful place visualization. How did you feel before and after? Did you think about that intrusive thought or that anxiety 5 seconds? You were fine? Great, that's the start. Continue to build the muscle, right? So we intentionally start to throw things out that make us feel good. Remember that you still have that toolbox, right?
It reminds me of just how we've always heard, put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you administer to your child. You know, because we always we just by habit put ourselves on the back burner.
Yes. And people will remind you to put yourself on the back burner. That is where the unapologetic comes in, to be like, no, I need to show up for myself so I can continue to show up for you. And I think that's where women need to start to build that of saying no. Yes.
I thought of that too when she just mentioned that. I figured boundaries and saying no. It's okay to say no sometimes.
Yeah.
You can't say yes to everything. And healthy boundaries is needed so you can have that time.
Exactly.
And to not let people make you feel guilty.
Here you go.
Because they will. Even the littlest child, they're going to make you feel guilty.
I was just gonna say, I mean, most people know that I have a child with special needs. Oftentimes, I do wanna do something like that, I feel guilty for leaving him back.
You talk to that guilt and you do the best that you can. I remember working on a cancer unit and the wife's husband was dying, you know, and it was like one of those things like, girl, you about to leave your husband? And she said, I gotta go to yoga. And he said, you don't leave me? And she was like, in order for me to continue to show up for you, I need this 1 hour to go to yoga and I will be back. And I will continue to show up, right? My husband's been gone for 2 weeks. He gave me a spa day because I'm like, I've been pushing through. You guys start conditioning them, right? Yeah. It doesn't have to be a spa day, but even if it's a half
Yes, it does.
hour. Yes, I would be a spa day, but like, you know, that's the unapologetic person. You gotta train people to know, I need this time. If you need more, y'all can come to my retreat.
Come see Shawneal at her table afterwards. She'll talk to you afterwards.
She says, I'm waking, I'm gonna go overnight.
Yeah, like 30 seconds, I'm like, okay.
Do you have so much for speaking to us about. I am sure that each and every one of us here have something, have taken something that we have to think about and will act on. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Woo! So let's talk about who's gonna be speaking next month. So Felicia Searcy is actually coming up to speak. I think she's staying with. And I think she's actually staying with Annie Garland, so, Felicia will be talking about 3